Oh, hey, what up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and thank you for tuning in from another fantastic live stream. Currently, looking here at the Nasdaq, we're down almost 1% now. We just fell about 100 points. We opened up pretty strong here, but the futures again. This is a Sunday evening. The futures are selling off pretty rapidly at this point. Not hitting the low that we saw on Friday. We're going to be going into a little more detail around what we could be looking at, what or so some support. But we are still going to be talking about chop, 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 chop. So what you mean by chop? So people ask for a little bit of a better understanding of what chop means. What is the meaning of chop? What is it? It's basically between the bull and the bear, and they're just fighting. And it's basically one wins one day, the other wins the next day, basically creating that chop in the market. You're really not going too much of anything. You're just kind of seeing the markets move up and down with it, and just really getting a very volatile movements in it. Again, not saying volatile markets are not good. Again, some trading is actually done very well in volatile markets on selling premium, day trading stuff, which I'm terrible at, and then just other various components that can really add a sense of to spice in your life if you want this volatility. What volatility is not good for, especially with the trend that we're currently seeing, is for longer term plays. And really the rotation that we're seeing come out of the very speculative, low or high growth, no revenue kind of plays, especially aka really the SPACs that we talk about, have been very much just beaten down, and really have seen little to no a bounce back in the past coming days. So cheers to everyone. I'm drinking a Polar 100% natural seltzer, caffeine-free lime. The one at Costco, they sold out of the Kirkland one, so had to go with the brand next to it. I had to pay like a 2-cent premium on it, but gotta have my seltzer. All right, what's up? How's everyone doing in chat? I had Daniel here early. Jared, what's up, my man? G, John, what's up, my dude? Ryan, how you doing? How you doing? Oh, Jared, already with the $5. I appreciate it, buddy. Nice to see you as well. I hope all is well. I saw you. You said I lost 50K so far, but Friday was a good sign. Up over 50% in 4 stocks. Maybe the blood market is becoming cauterized. Maybe wounds need to heal. Yeah, wounds definitely need to heal. But I think Jared, I don't want to be the negative Nancy here in the room, but I'm still a little not. I'm me particular speaking. I'm not quite out of the woods yet, in the sense of I'm a believer of a bull market and everything like that. But really, with the selling that we're seeing coming in through, and then looking at the pit bull low, which is definitely going to be looking at the percentages of the market we could see come back on Wednesday or Thursday. So I'm actually going to be doing a deeper dive individual video discussing a pit bull low that we could see towards the tail end of this week. So that's going to be something to look out for. And for if you haven't already, if you'd like to subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that as well. Yar. Thoughts on SENS, big speculative play? Yeah, Dave, that's a big speculative play. It did go down quite a bit here. Tommy, what's up, my friend? Lewis, hello, hello. Ryan Ken paying a premium at Costco. Do stimulus checks affect gold? I want to call GLD. The stimulus checks affect gold. I don't know. I don't top of my head. I don't see a correlation in that, to be quite honestly. Yeah, Costco. Yeah, Ryan. Yeah, Costco. I did buy a little bit of Costco come Friday just because it hit some targets. So let's just. Do you guys want to look at the Nasdaq first, or just kind of just jump into some things, and we can kind of just go see how the night taketh, and we just kind of go with the flow. Kev T, what's up, my dude? Kev D, you'd be proud of me. I was sitting outside reading about the weather has been pretty good here in Virginia, and I had family over, and I got a pizza oven. It was fantastic, delicious pizza. The What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was reading about Discord roles. Discord's pretty complex in the sense of, especially with the bots. Yeah, Nasdaq Futures looking pretty big red here, Ryan. I do agree. The 89 EMA is what we're currently looking at here. So let me kind of get out my fancy dancy pen here. So this blue line here, which I'm kind of drawing red lines over, is the 89 EMA here. So that's the line that, again, we potentially looked for some initial support down. In the short term, we are seeing the 5 and 8 moving average, which is the pink and white line here. Those are both still somewhat of not as aggressively pointing down. They're still kind of like capitulating here. That move on Friday we saw on that huge move candle move on Friday was pretty large explosive higher. That is a true marker in my book in the sense of having a very choppy market and just seeing that really bounce. And guess what? Guess what? That bounced off. That bounced off right off the 144 EMA, which is this dotted or dashed teal line here. So basically, this is where you see my alert here at 12,193 is basically what we're going to be looking for that initial short-term support if we do see that level being hit. Because again, that Friday was a set low, and again, we're talking about Sunday market here. That's not going to be the biggest driver because just look at the volume bars here. So we're seeing the volume bars on the back here. Look at the little tiny dincy volume we have today compared to what we potentially will see the next coming in the morning and the afternoon. So yeah, it's pretty. I wouldn't say that we're in a crash mode, run to the banks kind of scenario. But with seeing these, the volumes that we saw on Thursday, Friday, that was a lot of volume. And we're really seeing that big move higher. MJ, what's up, my dude? What's the SPY looking at? Like, yeah, that's a good answer. The SPY is not as much as in this corrective territory. So, but it could be dragged down with the overall market. As of right now, we're seeing those. I'm looking at the futures here. ARC. So these parabolic SAR dots are kind of pushing it lower here. Those are basically kind of somewhat signaling that we could see that. Again, what I mean by that is these little dots up here. Those are parabolic SAR dots. So if those dots are sitting above the candles, that's kind of like keeping the candles underwater, or kind of keeping the trend lower here. With the S&P 500, we have not broken past that 89 EMA, so that's a good sign there. But we are trading below the 21 EMA, and we're kind of slightly bouncing off the 50 SMA here, which is that little red dotted teal line. So I want to kind of keep an eye on that for the S&P 500 to really keep an eye on how that one plays out. I lost 20K, but I'll come back. Great optimism, John. That's great. Ryan says, let's look at I saw you post one about this, or within the options bot. I can't remember which one this was or what kind of categorize it as. If this was like a crazy growth stock, it kind of looks pretty insane here. Let me get all these lines away here. Wow, what a pattern. Coming in Friday, it basically hit off the 50 SMA here around that $13-ish and just bounce higher. The only thing is that's a very large candle, Ryan. And with these last other ones, that was basically kind of potentially pushing it lower. So if we do see the 5 and 8 start crossing through the 21 EMA, we potentially could see a breach below 13 or even back down to 14 if that momentum wants to continue. Being mindful, it looks like we have earnings coming out on the 15th. So yeah, that's a pretty insane looking chart though. But I know you like to play with fire, and I know you like to go balls deep things, but yeah, that's a pretty intense chart. So that 50 SMA is really going to be looking for that initial support here. Again, if we break that coming in tomorrow and actually close below that, that's really going to be potentially kind of putting a lot of negative pressure on the stock. Because again, potentially this kind of looks like a very heavy, high growth stock that people really got into because it was basically doing next to nothing for quite some time, and then just took off around that December timeframe and just has literally been trending upwards until it really broke below the 21 EMA. It did close above the 34 EMA on the daily side, which is somewhat of a good sign, but majority of the candlestick, it was pretty aggressive to the downside. Mm, um, Marty's asking for HD or for Home Depot. Yeah, Home Depot. Yeah, that it kind of broke a weird trend here. So if we're looking here on the Home Depot here, we're seeing that like trend kind of come through here, where we kind of see this. We're just gonna draw like this little imaginary box here, and it was just kind of been trading sideways here until it broke the bottom half of this trend here. Basically, what's that, around like the 260 or 260ish level, where we should kind of see it start breaking lower. So they increase their dividend. Like nothing's going crazy bad with Home Depot. It's all about people fearing higher interest rates. People are fearing the rotation out of these stocks that have somewhat of a dividend, that the price of the stock could move pretty aggressively, and people are getting out of it and potentially going into the yield, the 10-year notes or 30-year notes or whatever, to get a better, safer percentage basis because it's guaranteed by the government. HD's pretty beaten up here. I want to do a quick fib here, though. So I'm going to do from the swing high to the swing low. Yeah, broke through that 260 level, which is a Fibonacci number. Kind of coming back down. Trying to looking here at a smaller, zooming into the chart here. Looking potentially, again, that 5 and 8 is really kind of telling the story to kind of slowly grind higher. We have not been able to get back above these kind of moving averages, so this is still kind of continuously kind of pushing the stock down. Initially speaking, since we kind of broke past all the moving averages here, we could be looking for 250. It's a nice round number potentially to hold. But if the overall market continues to sell off, it's going to take HD with you, because HD is tied to a lot of the ETFs, especially. Money printer goes burr. Yeah. Ken loves Costco. He's also enjoys your likes. That's a great slogan, Jared. I appreciate that thing. Kathy bought a bunch of VZO lately. But yeah, Ryan, remember, but she has a 5-year time horizon on most of her positions. I know she seems like she gets jumps and out of a lot of things, and I know a lot of people are like, "Hey, she owns like 1% of her portfolio in PLTR." Yeah, 1%. She doesn't own 10%. She might be slowly building into a 10% ownership of PLTR within the portfolio, but biggest her long-term ones are, she still loves Tesla. And she bought a lot of Tesla, didn't she? Um, yeah, VZU. Oh, that's the like they do like 3D glasses. I remember this now. Is that the 3D glasses one? Tommy, you're correct. Discovery has had a crazy move. Like, what are they? What are they? What are they putting in their hookahs over there? Like, this is insane. I remember trading Discovery years ago, and it was just a dog. It was a dog. I think I bought up here around 40, and it just really broke lower here. And I was like, what in God's green earth? This is insane. Like, what are they doing over there in Discovery? Like, are they making like fantastic content now, or what are they doing? This is insane amount of growth here on Discovery. So Honestly, the only thing I can really say, Tommy, for this one is just continuously on the daily chart. Keep an eye on that 5 and 8 moving averages. So that's really what we have to tie to, and looking for that momentum to carry us. Because again, that is a pretty insane chart. I think you and I both know that something like this is really hard to sustain. So there could be a day where the power doesn't turn on and the engine just kind of goes bleh, and then gravity kind of kicks in. So we have to be very careful on this move here, because that is that is insane in the membrane. I want to look at this. Yeah, that 51-ish level. If it really wants to run, I'm looking here on a monthly chart. We could potentially hit 61.93, which would be potentially a level that we could see on. But again, that's a monthly chart. But this thing just in the last like couple weeks, this is insane in the membrane here. Wow. I hope you're in that one, Tommy. Marty, I agree. I love Home Depot for the springtime stuff and those plays of and really just kind of getting that spring move. I think that's a good play, but I think with the overall market volatility that we're seeing, I'm very careful right now where I'm putting my money into. I'm really much just kind of sitting here on my hands. Dan says, what can the news increase dividend on IIPR? I owned it since 72. What is IIPR? That sounds so familiar. I think I own that. This is the rental property. Oh, wow. Oh, this has just really been just dragged down with the overall market. Like, this bounced off pretty heavily off the 144 EMA here on the daily side. Um, it is kind of coming back down to some previous support here. Um, wow, 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 wow. Yeah, that's a pretty aggressive falling knife here. Um, we'll have to see if that 166 to 162 can hold. Because of that momentum again, we're kind of in the early onsets of potentially a base building, meaning that we just see some sideways action and not just this continuously lower lows day in, day out. One day that shall stop potentially, and we can just trade sideways and hopefully stay in that sideways action for a little bit to get that next move higher. But as of right now, my crystal ball is not very clear, and I cannot predict and look at when this bleeding could initially stop here. But yeah. Yeah, inflation, exactly. Great. Monroe. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. How you been? 10% on the big guy. What's 10? Oh, you're on OSO XL. This is a semiconductor, yeah. 3x leverage. I know you love those leverage ETFs, dude. Um, yeah, very much just like the overall market bouncing off the 144 EMA here. Again, pretty aggressive candle here, meaning a lot of buyers came in here. But again, what that means, it doesn't mean that this is gonna peter out. This is probably potentially people giving their shares up because of any kind of bounce pattern. They were like, hey, let's just get me out. I want to sit on the sidelines. Again, we won't know until after the fact. As of right now, the Nasdaq is down 1% right now in the futures market here, selling off about another 125 points here. Again, nowhere near where we saw the low on Friday, so just be mindful about that as well. Discovery Plus, like Disney Plus kind of scenario and subs. Okay. Dave, yeah, yeah, MAR. This is Marriott again. This has been a Nice little move here. Again, this is really just aggressively looking at the opening recovery plays, the epicenter stocks, and just really seeing if these can really kind of come back into favor, which again, clearly speaking here, they're nowhere near the lows that we saw just a year ago. The thing I want to also to look at is like, I think people are somewhat scared in the sense of the market. Again, the March timeframe, basically March, I think 16th or 17th, maybe it was the 18th, was the low that we saw last year. And there's probably some like residual fear that's kind of baked into March because of like, hey, uh S hit the F that month and things got really cray cray. And people kind of like maybe spooked by that just slightly. At the same time with Marriott, what a beautiful looking chart here. Really have to look at the weekly chart to kind of give it a better perspective here. Basically coming out here where we saw it close right before the pandemic, and really see that again. It went from 150 all the way down to 46 in about about 7-8 weeks. So that's pretty insane. And then really made a somewhat of a pretty decent recovery here. Looking for that 153 to kind of break here. If we do see that trend kind of continuous higher here, we're going to be looking for around 181. Again, that's on the weekly side for the old Marriott. But initially, that support came in the short term around 139 to 140. And if it does want to pull back lower with the overall market, we're going to be looking for around 130. Um, Being says, hey Ken, great seeing you again. Somehow I lost you. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm glad to see you as well. YouTube has been kind of censoring me, I think, to some extent. I had a pretty decent revenue or not revenue views drop. I normally get about 100 to 120,000 views a month. It dropped to about 30,000 for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe someone reported me for being so awesome. Or maybe Costco said, "Hey, we need to get this guy a sponsorship." Anyways, Ryan L's JD earnings this week. Yeah, JD is kind of like what is it? Like a massive online Chinese. I don't know. Is it? It's like Alibaba, right? If I remember right. But it's doing a lot better on the chart on Alibaba. To be honest here, it is still above the 89 EMA, which is around $90. They have earnings coming out on the 11th. So that's before the market. So that the 11th is on Thursday. So you have to get the trades in by Wednesday at the close. Seeing this potentially again. Last earnings was again kind of fell a little bit short here. Same here, kind of on the next one to kind of pop. Like it's hard to look again. We'll see how this one plays out. Again, it's a if you know anything about Ken, I think a coin or a earnings is a coin flip, so you have to be very, very careful. And when you're looking at these, especially on the call side, in the short dated calls, you can get pretty much annihilated if earnings does not play out to your favor. If you're longer term investors, of course, you have to kind of deal with the punches that could happen with earnings. But sometimes earnings are great, right? Like, and you can get a huge influx of $10 or $15 per share, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, earnings is always something I don't sweat bullets on it, but it's something you have to kind of deal with the flows. Initially speaking, and the short-term support, we're going to coming around $89. If that does not hold, we're looking for around 83. The expected move for the week, they're saying nearly $7.60. So that again can kind of put us in that range again, put us around that $83 range. So that 144 EMA could be tested, but at the same time, we could see a break above that 21 EMA, which is basically around that 96.50-ish range there. Thanks, Ken. How much love, buddy? So 150 it hits the buy, and I'm thinking, yeah, I think I like to see things level off for Dan before I start buying things in, and like kind of like see like a base building, like a very tight base here. Bing says, can you please take a look at OCSC? That sounds like a very small penny stock. I've never heard of that one. Yeah, that's a penny stock. My friend, I wish I can give you a better analysis on this, but I can't even zoom onto this to see the chart properly. So I'm gonna have to pass on that one. ID, yeah, we can look at IDEX. It's a little bit easier one to kind of read on the chart here. Very choppy one again. This is one that has seen a lot of market volatility. We saw it get up to around 550. Then on the downward trend, we're seeing it come down pretty aggressively here. Again, bouncing off that a 144 EMA here as well. So looking around that 240-ish range to potentially be level of support. But that knife is falling pretty drastically. So we are not seeing that kind of a base building mentality. By base building, I kind of mean something that is like in this frame over here. So we're seeing it sell off. It's kind of slowly coming in and hugging the 21 EMA. We could see it come in here and maybe hug the 89 EMA or the 144 EMA, or I can just say, I don't give a bats, you know what, and it just goes right through the 200 EMA and just continues going down. It's just I'm very much cognizant of about the downward motion, because downward motions, it can continue going. I'm okay giving up 10 or 15% potential upside. I just don't want to be the first person to get cut by the knife, if that makes any sense at all. It probably doesn't, because it makes sense in my head. Tech, howdy y'all. I want to know what the market has reached a top question mark. When is the Roblox coming out? JK. That's the thing too, Tech. If you've been trading for some time, you know the cycles of like the best IPOs come out first, and then you slowly get crappier ones. You get SPACs that are not well looked after or well managed, that are not bringing the greatest companies public, and some questionable belief. I think, yeah, it kind of gets pretty insane. Yeah, next week's definitely going to be crazy. 100%. Oil is pumping. Oil is pumping, which is again sign of potentially inflation. So yeah, look at oil. Wow, that is she's a hot one. So looking for oil here, we're looking at the crude futures here. Potentially looking for, again, I kind of broke past these two tops here we're currently looking at here. We'll look past which is basically around the 65 here. So it broke 1, 2, and then now it's kind of broken past that range there. So if this wants to continue, we potentially could be testing that 76 to $77 range there. So yeah, sit tight on that one. Be super cognizant about that. Yeah, it's definitely going to be very choppy, Jared. I 100% agree. I don't know what Voyager S stock is. Well, I'll be straight honest with you, Dave. I don't make too much money off I don't, again, this is not my full-time job on the YouTube. I think I average maybe, again, it's just really just pizza money. It's a lot of pizza money. It's like $300 a month on YouTube. Three to $400, yeah. But let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really followed the Roblox IPO too much there, Dan, to be quite honest with you. Um, I'm a little, what's the word? Um, I think that it'd be interesting if it does come out on Wednesday. I'm more overall looking for the overall market trend that we're trying to see kind of recover here, because again, I'm very much somewhat of a trend trader in that sense. So we're looking here on the Nasdaq on a weekly chart. We haven't broken past the Nasdaq on the weekly chart ever since that bottom that we saw of late or early last year. And basically, what was that this is a weekly chart, and really seeing that. I don't think we're going to see this. I don't think that. But we could see it print a little bit lower here, kind of breaking past the 21 EMA. Again, we saw it almost hit below 12,000 in the Nasdaq. So that is something to be super mindful about. Again, that was that low of Friday, and then we saw that really strong. The bulls come in pretty aggressively towards the end or the tail end or the end of the day here, and we saw a lot of buying going into Friday. Many smart traders that I have read about, have talked to, the consensus is, historically speaking, majority of the time, markets do not bottom on a Friday. It's just not a statistical thing that has happened in the past. Jared says, "Can we look at cake?" Yep, we look at the old cheesecake. Yeah, cheesecake. Yep, beautiful uptrend again. Very much like a reopening play here. We are seeing that movement kind of come in here, looking for that 21 EMA here to continuously show in that short-term support. So around that 52.59 to 53.53 is really going to be your short-term support. If we do get a break below that here with the candlestick intraday, we can easily see it come back down to 50, which would be the next level, and then basically potentially around the 47 to 45. But with the path of least resistance and the movement continues to kind of trend higher here, being on the right side of the reopening play, and if everything goes accordingly, we're going to be looking for the next target around $64. Again, in the previous time, again, looking on the weekly chart, before the market sell-off, Cheesecake Factory wasn't looking too pretty. It was trading around $42. But again, somehow they have been approving their recipes, whatever, and we're looking for some higher prices, potentially around $64 there. ENVA. Interesting chart. Yeah, it's a pretty weird one to see this kind of chart here play out here, honestly, my friend. Seeing something that break out to all-time high at the same time, or the same note that the market just took the biggest poopy face in quite some time. Yeah, that's a beautiful looking chart. Very hard for me to tell you to add to it or buy to it, depending on what your positioning size is. Looking here again on the weekly chart, kind of give us a better picture. This is a very choppy chart again. Looks like a lot of support coming in around $24 to $26. But again, we're talking the stocks at 35. So in the short term, we're going to be looking for that 5 and 8 potentially to be your first level of support. So we're going to be looking around 31 to 32. If that breaks, going to be hello to 30. So be very mindful of that. Looking here at some potential upper targets, has really broken past that $32 floor. Some next levels we could see is $36 to $38, which we saw on its previous high on the weekly chart. How about Splunk? Is that Splunk? Yes. SPLK. Yeah. This one's continuously being beat up. I've seen this one talked about quite a bit here. Initially speaking, their last two quarters hasn't been too fantastic. Of course, that last quarter where it went from basically 200 all the way down to 160, found somewhat of a base here. But sadly, nope. Again, kind of popped higher, kind of base build a little bit here, but it never got past the 200 EMA here, and it just continued to fall. Initially looking at this one again, the 5 and 8 moving averages are still pretty much aggressively pointing down. So it's still doing somewhat of the bear dance all over this stock, and it's kind of been somewhat of a disappointment and just not having been able to rebound with all the other tech stocks. At the same note, we are looking for basically coming back into the prices that we saw during the pandemic lows. That's pretty insane for this kind of tech stock. Looking for around that 135 to even to 124. So very much a downtrending stock right now. If the overall market with like the Nasdaq continues going lower, I think we can easily see this go lower. Um, did I miss Tesla, Oliver? No, you did not. Let's look at Tesla again. Tesla, the same note with the overall tied into the technology, growth stock stuff. Tesla is still in the downward trending as well. We're looking for some short-term support here, potentially around the 144 EMA, which is around 583. But if she don't hold that one, we're going to be saying hello to around 517 to even 485. With the continuously selling that we're seeing, particularly in the Nasdaq and the tech-heavy stuff, people getting rid of growth and going into more commodity or safer plays than the dividend side. Because again, Tesla has enjoyed a pretty rambunctious moves in the last coming months and last couple of years. It doesn't mean it has to go in timeout. It just means that it just needs a little bit of reevaluation as people are looking at the chart just slightly differently here with Tesla. Again, looking for 583 to around the 520 to initially hold. But again, if we do break that low, we could be breaking to below 500. At the same note, we want to maybe see a soft landing here around the 144 EMA, which is around that 580-ish, 583 level, if we can kind of get some base building going on here. Mike's asking, can we take a look at IPOE? Yep. So IPOE, aka SoFi, aka Chamath Palihapiti's ETF. What a move that we saw this one really kind of rebound pretty aggressively on Friday with, again, a lot of the tech-heavy stocks. But still very much beaten down here. Seeing it really kind of come into play here. Bounce hard off the 200 EMA basically here. At the same note, the 5 and 8 moving averages are maybe trying to level off here. If we do see, again, continuously selling in the market, this can easily kind of drive that price a little bit lower here. Initially speaking, that $17 range could be that level of soft landing that we're looking for, and maybe get that base building plus or minus $1 from that $17 range to kind of maybe see trade sideways for a little bit, because we did get a momentum switch. But I think this candle right here is somewhat of a fake out, because we saw that fake out basically in this candle here as well, where kind of just people unloading the stock and just giving it to potentially weaker hands or less diamond hands, wherever you want to get the scenario at. But I really want to like this more, but the chart is not looking too pretty for me. I think that SoFi has a great opportunity here in the market, especially with some of the issues with the old Robinhood, even though SoFi is so much more than just a trading brokerage firm. AMD gang hand, we ride at dawn. Yeah, AMD. It's been painful there, my friend. Again, very strong trend rotation here in a lot of the chip manufacturers here. Of course, with the Intel news that we saw come out as well, the turnaround story going on there. We're seeing this kind of bounce off here, the 200 EMA here. That's, again, around that $78 range. But it did not rally as much as I suspected as it would on Friday, even though the market kind of came back pretty strong here. If this does not hold around $78, we can easily see that break below $73. So break of 75 to 73 could be pretty painful if we close in around and below those levels. Kumar, what's up, my friend? Oh, Roku, yes, Roku, very much in the same boat as all the other growth stocks, even though it's a fantastic company. It just got thrown out with the bathwater here. Not as aggressively. It came down to the 144 EMA, so kind of holding the 89 EMA here around 350 to 352. If we could see that level kind of hold at that range, again, very much this is I can give you this analysis, but guess what? Come Monday morning, it could completely change because the market can continue selling, 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 and then it could just be a big no factor and just a very much of a disaster coming in and really kind of bearing these levels. So I'm kind of giving pretty aggressive downward potential ranges here. So again, around that 310-ish, we could see again if we break that low that we saw come Friday. If not, I would love to see it continue to stay above the 89 EMA, which is around 350, Kumar. Okay, hold on one second. Oh, shoot. But do. Okay, let's see. Uh, I saw NIO question. Yeah, NIO, again, those growth stocks really got put out of favor the last week, and really just kind of broke that trend above the 89 EMA, which I like to follow on somewhat of the trending basis. Of course, it broke and it just was a huge move down. Again, a lot of these candles, a lot of the charts look pretty much the same here, especially on the growth side. Normally, a lot of them are at the 89 EMA, the 144 EMA, or the 200 EMA. Of course, with NIO has been pretty substantially on the downward side here. Again, that 200 EMA kind of came in for a little bit of support around $34 and like 87 cents. We did close above that, but again, look at that trend here. We're still seeing that 5 and 8 kind of really pushes lower here on the moving averages. The 21 EMA is very aggressively pointing down as well, and those parabolic SCR dots have been trickling down pretty aggressively as well with the overall trend here. RSI and the volume zone oscillator both just like, what the Hello Kitty is going on here with this chart here. This is just really just kind of really slaughtering any of the bulls kind of jumping in front of this train here. NASCAR All Out says NVOS went from $4 to $45 in 2 hours of pre-market. That sounds like a pharmaceutical company. I don't know what else that could be. Yeah, that is completely FOMO. And I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Nope. That's too much cray cray for me there, my friend. Um URG to the moon? Maybe. I don't know. That being said, here looking at the support level, initially, again, that was a pretty strong candle we saw coming Friday. That 5 and 8 is starting to cost through the 21 EMA. We do have some support coming in around the 50 SMA here. So in the short term, kind of around $1. So be very careful on that one. And Jared's asking for STPK. STPK. Oh, this is a SPAC, right? Wow. Whoa, this got clobbered. Look at this one. So this is that one. The bear definitely danced on this one in the last week or so. Again, really coming in basically from that $50 high, and then just seeing that 5 and 8 moving average just kind of just aggressively just take a very sharp dive here, and just really kind of that is a avalanche if I've seen that in a while here. That is, whew, baby. That's a very large downward move. This is everyone just kind of threw that out with the bathwater. You can really see that with the volume here, really breaking past, not really finding any support on the way down here. That's It did kind of bounce off the 144 EMA here, but I really want to be super careful on this one. If we do see that initially 2185 to be in the short-term support, we're trying to kind of maybe build a base here on the soft landing here around that 2577 range. Plug, the old plug power. Yep, again, same kind of note, high aggressive play here on the sense of high growth, new spec stuff. Um, Not, it hasn't been around very much, and people just kind of just discounted it and just throwing it out the window because hey, it doesn't pay a dividend, it loses money. Why do I have this right now? Kind of scenarios. This is kind of a little of that cappuccino froth, as you can see here. Um, as I don't know the company directly, but I think it's the stock has some potential here. So looking for around $35 to be in the short-term basing side. But that 5 and 8 moving averages continues to drive us lower here. If we could see a break below 35, we're going to be looking for some support around 30. And then really kind of trying to seeing it kind of come back above water here and kind of stay above that $43 range there with plug. Oh, Jordan, thank you for the $1.99. Oh, yeah, I just did plug power. Yeah, plug. I like the again with the EV movement, the stuff that is just continues trying to drive the future forward. Fantastic, I love it. But you're still seeing overall market volatility coming here now. I saw, but oh, chat is up going really fast. Thank you guys for coming out again. If you haven't already, pick up your phones and send a smile picture with your thumbs up to someone you love. And then if you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe also as well to kind of help the algorithm support the channel there. What's the sign on QCOM? What up, Greg? Yeah, QCOM. I was about to say Q-tip. QCOM. I know it's like, is it a 5G play? Is it like everyone's just again like we're seeing in the market is everyone's just throwing everything out. This is a considered somewhat of a market rotation, aka a correction to some extent. Like if we looked at the Nasdaq from the high to the very tippy low we saw on Friday was a little bit of a 12% correction, which is pretty steep here. It's not. It's kind of going into territory potentially. The territory of lower would be basically 17 to 20%. Would be considered more of a bearish tone and trend change on that moment. With QCOM, yeah, this chart does not look pretty. I'm not going to lie with you. So 127 could be the initial short-term support here. If that can hold, fantastic. If it doesn't, that we're kind of could be going into unknown territory, especially with those the moving averages. So what am I trying to do here? Oh, let's do a fib. I should have drank some coffee today. Yeah, I like kind of so this looks interesting. So around that 127 to 125 could be a level of support if it does hold. But again, if the overall market continues to slap us across the face, and the bulls cannot get anything going, we can easily see these markets kind of carry us lower here potentially. So again, even with QCOM being a fantastic stock that it is. Joseph L says FedEx. Yeah, we'll look at FedEx. Yeah, FDX. Yeah, this is a stock that has no idea what's going on here. It's just like it's just chilling and just taking its time here. And just like okay, the market's selling off. Guess what? People still need packages delivered. Great little steady Eddie stock. It had a little bit of that sell off already in the beginning of the year, so it's kind of like okay, my damage is already done, and it's just kind of been bouncing around here between the 89 and 144 EMA. So basically, around 260 to around that 250-ish range, as it's kind of been bouncing around here and just kind of waiting for that next potential market move, aka because earnings is coming up around or it's coming out the 18th of March. So be mindful about that. Yeah, we just did AMD. AMD needs to stay above 75 potentially. If it doesn't break below 75, we could see that double bottom that we saw previously around 73 and break lower. Do I like long term, Jordan? I don't know the fundamentals, to be quite honestly, with plug. So if I like something long term, I have to really understand the fundamentals because I have to hold through multiple quarters, and I don't want to be washed out for that level. Initially speaking, I think plug could be a nice long term play. I don't know if it's the best EV play. Um, that being said, there was a lot of news of it previously with very large funds adding a lot of capital to them, which you saw those multiple gaps up kind of in that range there, Jordan. Daniel, what's up, my friend? Good evening. Someone said spot long term. That's Spotify. I always get these two mixed up. Yeah, Spotify. Yeah, I want a chest bump the old Spotify here. But it just I don't know what they're doing over there. What's driving these movements here? They're investing pretty heavily in their product. Like I'm a Spotify member. I pay for it. I think there's a couple things they can improve on, but I think it's a very hard space to improve on in the sense of because there's only so many things you can change. I think they're really kind of trying to become, if they really pushed really hard to kind of become like a podcast, like YouTube replacement for longer term media, I think they could do it. Because again, with the video quality and how the video works for like the Joe Rogan podcast and things like that, is pretty good. Um, Not the best like UI, but on the long term play again, very understanding of the fundamentals. I don't know the fundamentals very well for Spotify. It is bouncing off the 200 EMA here around 275. So 275 to 269 is some potential support here. But with that caveat, with that bullet point, we are still seeing the 5 and 8 moving averages aggressively, continuously to pull down here on spot here. So if we cannot see this kind of rebound at these levels here, we're going to be very careful on where we could be buying here. As you know, if you're just joining, if you haven't joined, I would definitely ask you to join the Discord. We talk about stocks, yoga, all kinds of things, food, mostly food, in stocks. And at the same time, I don't want to step in front of this bus. This is a pretty insane a downward pull in the overall market, and I don't want to just kind of get my fingers cut off, if you know what I mean. Um, what's up? It says UWMC. Yeah, this one is again kind of got a sympathy bump from the rocket stuff. At the same time, it's kind of maybe trying to level off here on $9, but that trend that previously existed was pretty much aggressively going down. So that was not a very nice overall trend again with that movement that we saw in Rocket with Wall Street Bets folks, and then kind of bopping into this. This is somewhat of a linked stock here to it, but the overall trend is still kind of going lower because again, we didn't really barely close above the 21 EMA. With these two large candles here, we're kind of looking for some leveling off here, but I don't want to put my money in there, if you know what I mean. This is just kind of downward trending there. ARC, like CRSB. Yeah, those are a lot of those pharmaceutical plays, but you have to remember what Kathy Wood said there, though, Daniel, in the sense of they use those as like fodder. So they will sell out of those less high conviction trades, the ideas they have, and just buy into the higher conviction trades. So if the overall market continues to correct and kind of sell off coming into next week, just kind of seeing what they purchase from there. Halliburton. What is Halliburton still in oil? Wow, like I haven't touched this stock since like forever. Wow, look at this. That is a yeah. They must be an energy because energy has been completely the S word. Um, Still an energy. Seeing somewhat of a rebound here. We're coming into what they had back in 2020 before the pandemic here, so around $23. If the overall trend wants to continue and push us higher, if we're really seeing a rotation back into energy due to the safety net and the dividend of it, we can easily see this trend continue, stay above $24 to potentially try to hit that $30 range there. CMI, please. Wondering if they're with Westport Fuels for hydrogen cells. Hydrogen. CMI. Yeah, that's a beautiful looking chart there. Nice chart. Just continue to grind higher here. Nothing to really say here. If it does pull back to around that 34 to 50 SMA here, that could be a potential buy trigger even to the 89. But a lot of those moving averages are pretty tight here and just continuously trending higher. You have no idea on what is going on in the overall market if you're just owning this stock, which I don't think anyone should just own one particular stock. It should be diversified, but that's a beautiful looking chart there, my friend. Alpaca, what's up, my dude? MNEDF, yeah, that thing was somewhat taken out to the woodshed this week again. Excuse me, kind of coming into again. It stayed above the 89 EMA. It did touch down to nearly the 144 EMA due to again that panic selling. So panic selling is everyone just hits that red button. Everyone just goes completely insane. They don't even know what they own. They don't even know what they're selling, and they're just throwing everything out. They're just going to town and just taking care of their portfolio. Anything that's red, they're just selling at market and just kind of get rid of it. Get the pain's too much. Just stop at market. Uncle, and then they're just throwing everything out. But then we had that max pain level, which means that okay, the pain got so bad for so many people, the selling kind of just dried up, and then that the swooping Super Bowl kind of came in here and just kind of took over the market for a little bit. Yeah, that's same thing with this again. I want to see this back up to 3-ish to kind of see that somewhat support there with MNDF there. But yeah, that trend is kind of potentially going lower. We have not seen the 5 and 8 cross to the 21 EMA here, Alpaca. So if we do see that trend continue, I want to see it to stay above 273. Really just want to stay at above 217 here to kind of see that potentially trend kind of help us out here. DBX, is that Dropbox? Yeah, Dropbox for me, honestly, Jared, has just been just too much sideways action. Just look at this chart. It's just been that's on the daily chart. Even on the weekly chart, it has not been too much of a good trending stock here for me. Even though on Friday it's been trending better than the overall other tech stocks and so forth in this section, but I want to see this one maybe try to recover here, but it's just super choppy. Again, are you trying to play this because there's like a crazy short interest on Dropbox? Is that the one you're trying to play? My cost for a share of NIO is 23. Oh, 13.25. Wow, good for you, my friend. Joe's asking, what do you think about the video game stocks TTWO? I don't. You have to listen to the narrative. Like, I don't think these stocks are going to go anywhere. I think it's just a completely, Joe, as a rotation getting out of the stay-at-home plays, because I think that does the market really think that video games are going away? Heck no. Video games are fantastic. They're not going away. More people played video games this last year and have got exposed to video games than any time in human history. And guess what? It's addicting. If it's a good game, though, we very much be ahead of that. If it's a good game, it's addicting. Um, on that note, um, it is selling off here, kind of really kind of coming into correction mode, in the sense of, again, seeing these really massive gains that we've seen, and people rotating out of it. People were like, okay, the stay-at-home plays, the Pelotons, the video game stuff, or it's kind of just kind of an old story with Peloton, of course, that has come back down the 200 EMA. How much time have we talked about Peloton continue to rocket higher, going higher, going higher, going higher? But now it's coming back down to earth here. And now it's at $100 again. There's almost that kind of peaked out around 170 here, and it's kind of just like coming back down here. If it breaks below 103 to 100, we could see it easily come back down to 95 to even $85. It's just a mindset change. You have to remember, like, okay, it's if things aren't open back up, like, are people really just going to be switching that fast off of video games? No, I think it's very much an overreaction, and in the best light that I can say here. Kathy withdraws a few of her positions as market falls. Yeah, I think Kathy would. I would love to have her on the old dyslexic investor live stream at some time. Again, if anyone knows her, would greatly appreciate that. Have a. I need to make it like a podcast. This is a cup of coffee and a scoop of charts or something, whatever it should be called. But on having other people's perspective on the market. Again, Kathy's Wood perspective is what, a longer term time horizon. She doesn't care about a couple weeks or maybe a month or two of a downward trending market. She's looking 5 years out. She's looking for robo taxis, guys. Like, she's not looking for these things kind of here. Athena Group says MO, please, MO. Um, So the weekly chart has been very much like a choppy downward trend here. Since the pandemic has kind of made somewhat of recovery here. Not sure what the company does. On the chart here, we're looking for, again, short-term support coming around 43 to $44. But really trying to break above $46, as you see in the trend here potentially. We're seeing it kind of slightly move us higher here on that 5 and 8 moving averages. Do, 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 do. Oil going to 100? It could. I think oil has to hit 75 first. We talked about Discovery. I have no idea what they're doing over there. I literally wanted to ask what's in their drinking water. Has anyone seen the new Spider Superman and Lois on WB? I haven't. No, I didn't even know they had a new one. The 10-year climbing, that's good for banks. Yeah, yes, it's very good for banks. They can charge more. They can collect more interest on your capital. Yeah. A stimulus bill is in shambles. Yeah, I'm actually losing track of it. Like I don't follow it too deeply like other people do, but it is very much being chopped down. What is your investing strategy? So I have multiple buckets I like to invest in. I have a trading strategy. I have long-term strategy. Mostly my stuff is curated on the longer term side, but I love to sell options premium in the short term. Jared says, Dropbox is a long-term hold for me, boss. Godspeed, my friend. I don't play video games anymore. Playing the market mostly. Vlad. That's a good point. I don't play many video games as well. I just the time that I have free or normally would be playing video games. I'm doing a YouTube video or doing a live stream for you guys, and I enjoy do. I very much enjoy doing this. Ken, do you have the ultimate boomer stock SPG? No, I don't. I do not have SPG, but I do have waste management, which I've been told that's a boomer stock. Of course, this is Simon Properties. This is the mall reopening or malls outlets kind of scenario. We talked about this one quite a bit here. That 117 again. This is a very well run property management company here. So 117 ish range. We're kind of seeing it. Oh, excuse me, fall out a little bit. But in the short term, we're going to be looking for around 103 to 105 to hold. In the weekly chart here, again, this thing was trading around 142 before the pandemic. I think again, being somewhat of the reopening plays, people are going completely ham. Here in Virginia, I have a Simon Properties outlet right down the street here, and it's very well run. There are quite a few stores that have moved out, but they're filling it up with other knickknack stuff, which people want to buy. Um, I buy most of my clothes at Costco, so I'm not a clothes kind of guy. Oops, let me update this fib here though. Yeah, so 116.50 ish kind of been failed. If that wants to continue with that trend to go higher, we're going to be looking for around 134 to 135 for the old SPG there, my friend. You like Peloton? Yeah, tell Peloton's a great company. Yeah, she was on. Yeah, I saw her interview with the CEO. Kathy is Kathy's mom. uh, uh, I like Z for real estate. Yeah, Z again. That's a Zillow. So Zillow, Redfin. They both have taken a little bit of a hit again, kind of being thrown in that tech section stock again. People are going again that panic selling, emotional kind of sense of the market's never going to come back. With interest rates going higher, people are less likely to be taking out loans for mortgages, building, and so forth. But, really, I cannot get this yawn out of my face. But if we look at the overall like KBH Homes, those stocks have been doing very well. Like look at this one, like almost out. This is breaking out here nearly. So these are some stocks that I'm currently liking here. Been holding the 50 SMA, 89 EMA here, looking for a potentially move higher here. Toll is another one that's been Very strong looking stock here again, not giving a rat's booty about the overall market sell off. If we can get this moving to kind of stay above the 21 EMA here, these trends could be potentially kind of switching here and being somewhat of the market leaders here. Sir, I have 20K in the bank. What do you suggest for me? Um, First of all, I'm not a financial advisor. Second, what do I that I don't know. For me, I'm a waiter. I want to see on how things kind of level off here before I start throwing around capital. So just be very mindful. Understand things that you want to own or buy, and b- don't throw all your money into one stock or one segment of the market. So don't put 20K all in whatever NIO. You need to kind of be diversified. Kathy is totally a Connecticut hockey mom. Jay Paul says, "What's the support for the Nasdaq?" Yep. So the Nasdaq. So we can look at the Nasdaq futures here. Really going to be looking in that support coming into what we saw on Friday in the afternoon here. We look here on a smaller time frame. We're going to be going to a 30-minute chart. Of course, that kind of came in around that noonish time frame here, leveling us off around that 12,200-ish and kind of rebounded into the rest of the trading day. That's basically be your first level of support. To the upside, we need to break above 12,700 to kind of get back above the 89 EMA there. She's a Minnesota hockey mom. Um, do you look at PE ratios and such, or more of a Kathy Wood style of longer investing? I don't think Kathy Wood looks at PE ratios as well because, again, she's just looking for something that's innovative, that's doing something else, and has a potentially of reaching a very large market. That's basically the criteria that they're looking at. What's up, Ben? What does the VIX say? I'm not a good VIX reader, but the VIX, it hasn't, even with Friday, it didn't break above the previous move higher. So potentially maybe seeing somewhat of a leveling off here potentially. But if the market wants to really sell off coming into next week, the VIX should potentially break above and maybe hit that $30 range. So if that really market fear really kind of creeps in very fast. When mom buys, I buy. The last is Nasdaq probably rebound. Yeah, I would hope so too. But again, I don't want to step in front of a freight train. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see a couple things. I saw a Hertz commercial the other day, and I was like, "What the flip flop?" Let's see here. SKT. What's SKT? I don't familiar with that. Oh, this is the one that's being very heavily shorted, right, Greg? This has like a very high short interest on this one. Yeah, it's been holding that 21 EMA here pretty well here and just continuously grinding higher here. Again, very large candles, explosive moves higher here. But again, if I'm correct, this one has a very high short interest rate. or meaning a lot of people that are shorting the stock. Again, this trying to could be not saying it's going to hit like the same kind of movement that we saw with GME, but it could happen to some extent with again that short squeeze. Saint Gang Gang says, I have respectively disagree. If you find and believe in your research, I found nothing wrong with going all in for one or two stocks, but it all depends on how many other factors. Um, I disagree with that. I think you're basically giving yourself two chances of being right or wrong, and that's kind of a coin flip. Um, I look at more of it at a sense of like a portfolio management. So I'm looking at maybe risking anywhere from 3 to 5% of the account per trade, and looking at that as a percentage standpoint on that. Um, yeah, that makes sense on that. He doesn't want to read the VIX chart because he's a bull. That's funny. Open you and eliminate YOLO. You is one that has been coming up quite a bit because Aunt Kathy's been buying it. Um, this one has been very much an aggressively downward trending stock here. Let's look at the 5 and 8 moving averages. Really just kind of carrying us lower here. Kind of coming in basically where the IPO kind of came out here as well. Looking for some support to kind of come in here on the Fibonacci tree. $90 to $91 is going to be your level of support. If we break below that, we're going to be looking for $82 to $80 with that one. Open. This one was IPO C or B. I don't know which one. Chamath Puppeteal is working on here. Open door, kind of again. People didn't give a rat's butt and just threw everything out with the bathwater. Just look at these super aggressive downward moves here. Even with earnings, again, I didn't really know too much that about the earnings call, but looking for some initial support around $20.82 to $21 to kind of see if that level of support hold. If that does not, we could easily see it kind of grind lower here with people just not giving a rat's booty about holding anything. Same with Lemonade, had a very high short interest rate on the stock. Very much of aggressive downward move here as well. Again, the 5 and 8 moving averages. We have closed below the 21, the 200 EMA here. Not my favorite kind of pattern here. Initially looking for some support around 85.21 in the short term though. J. Paul says, so stimulus is coming. Bond is a bit stable. Still futures are being beaten up. Yeah, again, it's just the market of just, especially in the tech side. So the tech side, aka the Nasdaq, is going to be very much be suffering because again, there's still a lot of companies that are built on hopes and dreams and have a pretty frothy share price, and that needs to kind of come down here. How many companies have come back from Chapter 15 bankruptcy? LOL. Anyone? I don't know. Yeah, VUZI. I seen that one pop up so much. Um, Gambler luck don't last forever. Well, gambler's luck doesn't last forever 100% because that's what we really have seen in the last 3 months where you can just throw something on the dartboard and it's just been pretty much been performing fairly well. Really since the last like 6 or 7 weeks since that last pullback. DRIV instead of NIO. Global Automation ETF. Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure what's in it, which we can look that up from the ETF database site. So you go to ETFDB, and then you what was the ticker here? Let me pull the come on, there we go. Excuse me. Oh shoot. DRIV Holdings. So here's its top holdings. So pretty surprisingly, it only owns 2.1514 of Tesla in the ETF. So that's the weight on that. On a autonomous driving ETF, they have Alphabet, Intel, Microsoft, Apple, which Apple really doesn't have anything, the Apple car yet. Nvidia, yes, I can understand that. Of course, Toyota, Qcom, don't understand that. GE, I don't understand that. MU, maybe. Tesla should be, I think, a little bit higher up on there, but I don't know how the ETF is structured, but that could be a possibility to play the ETF. I love ETFs compared to things because it's just less, a little less volatile, and you have to take less of a risk. You know what I'm saying? Jay Paul, yeah, I have to agree to some extent. The Jamal Papatil and how he's pumping and dump stuff and how he speaks out and then kind of goes silent and kind of scenarios like that. I think um, he needs to really kind of be careful what he does. Hmm. Yeah, we can look at VUZI. Yep, very much again. Really large move higher here. It bounced off pretty heavily here off the 50 SMA here, or the 55 SMA, which is the white line, and the 50 EMA here. Sorry, the 50 SMA, which is the red line, and the 55 EMA here, which is the white line, and really saw a pretty large movement higher. Being mindful on this one, we have earnings coming out on the 18th, I believe. So I'm a little bit hesitant to be just to kind of throw in and just dive in all the moolah into this. Um, but again, that 50 SMA here has been showing some levels of support here, so maybe we could hold here. But if the overall market goes to continue to sell off, of course, with the Nasdaq right now, we're still down about 1% here. That could easily kind of trigger this one. People just throwing out with the bathwater, and just could easily break that level here, which we could see below $12 if we do see that continuously selling going through. Thank you, Jared. I appreciate that. What are your thoughts on the whole CCIV thing with Lucid Motors? I don't know too much of like the whole deal structure. Um, I'm not a fan of like the sure it can be a great company and everything and all this that fun stuff. I'm a little iffy on it like like so Tesla, if you don't know, is literally in the same building as SpaceX. And guess what SpaceX does? It sends people to the International Space Station. Guess what? It shoots rockets and lands them back down on a designated pad in Florida. Okay. Okay. We're out of the way of that one. With Lucid, again, this deal, I think it was not very well presented in the sense of like what the dilution could look like in certain cases. Again, this is where my problem. I'm not a big fan of SPACs. I was fairly excited, and I liked them quite a bit here. Um, and then when they first came out, um, but I think the market's getting um, a little flooded in the sense of SPAC deals. I think that could easily taint the waters. It only takes a couple bad apples to ruin the whole parade or the whole bushel in the basket, whatever you want to call it. I'm a little just worrisome about these SPACs because again, a lot of people clearly it was run up quite a bit here. Was it a pump and dump on their behalf? Was it a pump and dump on people not understanding what they're owning? I think it was a combination of both. I think majority of the people really pumped it up higher than it really should have suspected it, and just really just went completely AWOL on here and just was like, oh, it's going to be the next Tesla. It's going to go to $600. It's going to 1,000. Blah 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 blah. But and just kind of scaling back the curtains, looking at like, hey, they're building their first plant. They're really just on stage point one out of the whole process of what Tesla's gone through. So, looking at the chart here, very much downward trending. We do have some short-term support coming in around $22. So if $22 is not holds, that's going to be your base here. It's trying to get back above 25 initially too, as well. So that's going to be the 50 SMA here to kind of see if that could potentially kind of bring back the market here. But I think the damage has already been done here. Again, the stock was well over $70 in after-hours tradings before it really kind of came crashing down quite a bit here. Can we do waste management? Yeah, we can do some waste management. You know, I love it. Huge move higher coming in today again. Get that dividend, boys and girls. Kind of popping up here, looking for a break above 1766 on the weekly chart. You can't go wrong. I really need to kind of zoom out more on the monthly chart. Like look at this thing. This just kind of just climbs higher here. I really love waste management. I own waste management in my long-term account. I think this thing could be a very nice addition to anyone's portfolio. But again, that's just my honest opinion here. Again, they're doing a lot of great stuff for the environment. They're trying to recapture things and put them into trash and trying to recycle more. All this kind of fantastic stuff, even though people kind of give them a hard time. It's a trash company and they're trying to recycle things as best as they can and all kinds of various components. So I love me some waste management. Yeah, it took Tesla many years, Ben, to get to any kind of traction. So, um, but again, Tesla really opened the door for Lucid. Tesla really opened the door for NIO. So you have to look at that component of like, um, okay, like the bar has been raised. So how is Lucid going to come in here and raise the bar? Are they going to raise the bar higher than Tesla is able to? Yes, they're trying to go after a very larger or higher intel clientele, because again, if you go to their site here, like this car looks fantastic. That being said, it ain't cheap though. So we can design. Let's just design a car real fast. So they basically have the Dream, which is the $161,000, the 130K, which is the touring one. The That's the Grand Touring. They have the generic Touring at 87, and then like the pure the base model starts at 80 or $69, $69,000. So I wanted to design our Dream one here, but this is a look at this thing. This thing, it's a beautiful looking car. Don't get me wrong. Like, I, don't get me wrong. Of course, I want to get the gold. Maybe the white kind of looks nice. I kind of like the black interior here. That looks pretty sleek. That canopy, those wheels though, those look nice wheels. Different interior colors, blah blah blah. Sound, charging, da da da. Okie dokie. View summary and reserve. Yeah. So this looks pretty nice here again. Um, Beautiful looking car. It's only going to cost me $179,000. I do get that tax credit. I know quite a few people who are waiting to buy EV or electronic cars because of the potential tax credit that President Biden and the administration can put out. Yeah, I think Jared, I agree to some extent. I don't think it's like a Nikola play where it's not even a product that completely works. I think it's more like being very careful that hey, you're really getting on the ground floor potentially on Lucid, and you might have to hold through some pretty tough times ahead. Like Tesla, what has Tesla got now? Like okay, like Tesla, um, what is the Model S going through now? Let's see here. The Model S. How much is the Model S now? Plaid. Let's just see how much the Model S now. Which again, they're saying that this is going to be more luxurious than the Model S, so we'll see on how that one plays out. The Model S Plaid Plus is going for 134, 135. This is going to have a 520 plus miles range on it. It's going to be less than 2 seconds on. That's insane. 0 to 60, and at the same time, it's going to have 200-mile top speed. Like you don't need this. They're just flexing here on these ranges on those levels there. But I think uh, just think Tesla has the upper hand. I'm speaking my own book. You can take whatever from that. I'm a long-term Tesla shareholder though, so yeah. Jared, thank you for the $5. This is the side of Ken I Need looking into things, not just at a chart. Much love, brother. Yeah, we can talk all kinds of different things. I think people do get bored of the charts. Like, we can always look at all kinds of things. Like, what is an NIO? Can I even look at an NIO? I didn't even look at um, the cars, like, because again, I don't sell them here in the United States yet is the NIO stuff. Looking at the prices here, yeah, they're not. There was some. Was it a rumor, or were they disclosing it that they're looking at getting into the EU market in the Europe? Mm. Yeah, it's all like I don't know. Like I feel a little stupid here because I don't know uh the kilometers, like 0 to 100 kilometers per hour as a 4.9 seconds. That seems pretty fast. Like all of them love this huge middle touchscreen thing. I don't know if it's a little gimmicky, but within the NIO they have like this little bot here in the middle that's like a little like an Alexa or Google or whatever, and you can talk to it, and it kind of like makes emoji faces. It could be something I won't say distracting, since I think they have their self driving stuff as well. Um, I think it's I don't know. Do people find that gimmicky? I find that kind of cool. I think my daughter would love it. Yeah, this little pilot dude kind of helps you do things. 1.5 kilometers is about a 1 mile approximately. Okay, that's not too bad. That's pretty fast though. I don't hate Lucid either. I don't hate anything. There's not many things I hate in life, so I don't hate anything. Everything is so sketch with them right now, though. What do you mean, Joe? EV cars ugly. LOL. You really don't think the Teslas look that? You don't like the way the Teslas looks? They're holding NIO and Tesla going to the moon. Rocket ship, rocket ship, rocket ship. Um, yeah, we could look at some charts here. Let's look at AMD here. Of course, AMD popping off pretty much lower here. We're looking for some initial support coming in around $78 here. Um, so looking at it's very hard to say because again, this is very aggressive downward motion that we're seeing in AMD. It's really trying to catch like a falling knife here. Like I don't have a knife here on my desk. I don't know why I would have a knife here on my desk. So just imagine this being a knife here, and here comes any stock that's kind of falling down here, and you're trying to grab it. You don't want to grab a falling knife. You kind of want to have catch a falling knife that kind of hits the desk, and then you're able to pick it up. Like I want to wait for the bounce. Like what's the scenario they say like what Captain Hook always says? You have to wait for the splash kind of scenario. I'm the kind of guy that waits for the splash before I want to add to a position or get into a position. With the splash, what I mean, with especially with AMD, which I love, I wanted to see it kind of hold at 70. Wow, that was way too thick. Sorry, that was way too thick. Looking for to kind of hold here around the 70, 78.50 to potentially hold here. If that does not hold, we have to zoom out just slightly here. Actually, go to the weekly side. That's a monthly side. We want to look at that support coming in around the 50 SMA here on the weekly chart. So weekly, which means the WK up here, which is again around that 73.30-ish range for AMD. If that does not hold, we can easily see that break and go well below here to around that 65. But those are extreme levels. We don't want to talk about that quite yet. We want to look at what potentially could happen. The only thing that I'm slightly concerned about with the overall market, we are seeing the 5 and 8 cross through the 21 EMA. So if the selling does continue, we potentially could see it down because again, looking here on the Nasdaq, we're down nearly 1% as of right now, but not the best sign in the sense of I would rather see this how the market trades come the market open instead of just kind of seeing the futures overnight because again, it's very not the most greatest volume kind of coming into that. Okay, you're asking for Airbnb. Yeah, Airbnb, same thing. Pretty much, again, newer stocks, so there's not going to be too much charts or candles that we can look at here. But you really have to look at it. Again, I'm not sure if it's a long-term play for you. But we can see maybe looking for this being put in the same category as a recovery play. Is it put in the same secting as a play for like hotels and vacations, and Are people going to be going into other people's homes? All the kind of factors coming in here. With Airbnb, strictly looking at the chart here, we bounced off that 144 EMA here, basically at $64, $164 here. Which again, I put my alert at 162.50. If that does break there, we could easily see a break below 160, and we could come down to its lower IPO support band around 145. But of course, this is really going to be tied to the overall market, because again, if the overall market tanks, it's just going to take everything else with it. There will be some outliers, but especially in the tech heavy speculative plays, which I wouldn't put Airbnb in a speculative play. It's just a newer IPO. You have to be very mindful of when the lockup dates are and other factors that could potentially drive the stock price lower. Because again, it did have a pretty massive run coming out of its IPO base here, and really hit that 220-ish level, which I think was a little bit overextended for what we're talking about the Airbnb via on a price comparison basis. Oh, you're just short-term day trading? Okay. So then you don't care about the long-term philosophies then. Can you check out MCK? Yeah, this looks very choppy here, more than I thought it would see. Um, this sounds familiar. I don't know what they do. Very choppy here. Looks like it had some earnings coming out. Maybe seeing some kind of short-term support around 169 to 170. If we can kind of see that kind of level off here, that would be fantastic. But just like anything else in all the other stocks that we looked at, if the market continues to sell off here, it's just going to take most of everything with it. So it's going to be very difficult to kind of nitpick on where we could see. Because again, would love to see this back above the 21 EMA and breaking those parabolic SAR dots. But the market really takes it lower, because again, that market bounced insane on Friday. Like that huge market bounce off that trampoline with nitrous in his socks was crazy move higher. GME is looking strong too. Thanks for AMD. Yeah, GE and GM I actually like. GE as well. Really kind of coming back into its own here. If we look here more on the weekly chart here, GE has been completely crushed ever since the 0809 crisis here, which is going to be highlighting here. So GE had a monstrous run. This used to be a $60 stock, okay? So GE, if you remember, used to own everything from healthcare devices to jet engines to their own financial company, blah, blah, blah. But the financial crisis happened. They dropped from basically 40 all the way down to, I think it was like $7 or something like that, or $6. Has made somewhat of a recovery here, but of course, then other stuff happened in the company. Then the pandemic happened, and really has been just cratering, and just getting worse off. But I think it's finally trying to turn the leg here and trying to get back in action here. So in the short-term support on the weekly chart, not short-term, on the weekly chart again, that's the WK up here. We are looking for that break that we just saw last week above 1326. If that continue to run, we're going to be looking for $16 to $17, and then in the longer dated targets around $18 to potentially see with GME. On the short dated support here, we're going to be looking for again around 1250-ish for that level of support. Yeah, GE has done some bad stuff too. Don't get me wrong. There's no one very outside of that. Yeah, I don't do Instagram very much. I have an Instagram, but I don't touch it, to be quite honestly. Ken, do you think that Tesla will recover from here or sideways down a little more? Jay, I don't know. I want Tesla to potentially rebound, but again, you have to remember to some extent um, that Kathy Wood did come in pretty aggressively on last week to buy. That floor support could be happening here. Um, but they have to be very mindful of like she only can buy so much, right? She does have a lot more money than you and I and everyone in the channel combined and multiplied by 100. But we have to remember like if the overall market and that downtrend wants to continue with Tesla, we're going to be looking for initially some support in the short term around 583 and then even back down to 517, 515 to be those short term levels of support there. If the crash continues, what do you think was the possibility for Tesla to go back down to 300 range? Anything can happen. I don't have a crystal ball for Tesla. The trend is really kind of potentially pushing us lower here. But those are going to be initially the first two levels of support on the way down. Um, if we're looking here at the options market is looking for the end of the year, which we can look at basically the where is January 2022 is basically a move of as of right now a move of $468 plus or minus. So is the stock going to be going back to around $100? I don't know. Is the stock going to be going up $400 where it's currently sitting at by the end of the year? I don't know either. But that is what the options market makers are looking at, statistically speaking, on Tesla's move. Because again, Tesla, super volatile, even though it has kind of come back and added to the SP 500, still fairly volatile. Again, it's going to be trading a little bit differently due to the fact of it's going to be tied more into the S&P funds where they have to balance it out on a daily basis or weekly basis. And also can look up Waymo Tesla overhyped, under delivered. What Waymo is the Google stuff, right? That's Google self driving, right? WFC, yeah, that's the Wells Fargo, right? Yeah, banks are looking fairly poised here due to the fact of hey, interest rates are growing higher. They can charge more for certain things. They can get a higher yield back on money that's just sitting in their accounts. So banks are fairly happy here. Of course, Wells Fargo, which we can just really just look at the XLF. Of course, that is the Spider ETF for the financial stuff. Really looking to see this continue kind of climb higher here, looking for $35 plus in the short term. In the long term, maybe even $40. Because again, this thing was traded around $30, but again, before the pandemic. But now we've kind of seen a lot of things kind of come through, and seeing the banks really uh, showing a lot of strong core fundamental balances here. Ken, do you think the real estate market is going to be overvalued territory? I think so. Dave, I see it in my area where I'm just like, that house when I was just buying 2 years ago was 600, and now it's 750. Like it's the multipliers have jumped up so much year after year, um, more than I can even keep up with. Like I'm like, I could have bought that house, but now I clearly just like I'm priced out of it. But which I'm not looking to buy. Of course, this has helped the home value that I'm currently sitting in. Um, but I'm a little sus with a lot of this market moves here again, because again, is it are things higher because the lack of supply of homes, or is it lack of supply and the sense of people moving out of the big cities and coming into the suburbs where I currently live outside of DC, and just kind of raising the prices like that? I think it's a two-pronged attack, to be quite honest with you. Fastly, this thing has fallen out of favor here, sadly. We have broken past its support here around $65 here. We've broken past that here a little bit here, just slightly actually. What is that? Yeah, we kind of okay. We touched closer towards the end or the intraday here, but yeah, Fastly is somewhat of a falling knife here. I do not want to try to catch this. In the short term, we're looking for again that bounce around $58 here, 58.71 if you want to be precise here. But that downward trend is still kind of coming into play here. So we do see a break below 58. That could get pretty nasty. We're going to be looking for below 50 to around $40 for Fastly. What do you think about DoorDash? Actually, that's an interesting question, because I'm actually working on trying to do a full report on this one, to kind of do a YouTube video and discussing on my personal beliefs on it. Yeah, lockup's coming up. I think DoorDash sits in the category of not going to be the world's greatest reopening play, because again, people are going to be wanting to go out, spend money at a restaurant, go out and do other things, and not just kind of get food delivered. Again, I'm not 100% familiar with the old DoorDash, but I think that this is something I just really can't I can't really get behind. Let's see here. Yeah, DoorDash, restaurants, and more. Like, what is the understanding of DoorDash and its representation of delivery? Like, is it what I hear? Again, this is where I want to look up and do my research, my own research. I'm gonna get my own opinions of like, is it really hurting the restaurants? Like, I don't own a restaurant. I don't know anyone close to me where I can ask that question directly. Um, is it worth to do delivery? I don't know. It's something that I want to look at and understand slightly better because of how DoorDash is framed out. Because looking through it just initially, just really fast, I feel like it's overvalued. But that's just my thought, just initially speaking. But once I reading about it, understanding it a little bit better, maybe we can do a different analysis. Hmm. Yeah, I think again, it's a good point too, Jared. That BLMA Outback Carrabba's for reopening. Yeah. So we talked about cake here. Also, Dave, I think Jared has that position. on being a pretty substantial reopening play there as well, on the sense of really kind of rebounding from that, where people want to go out and expend money and so forth. Jared's asking, anyone guessing 25K Tesla coming out soon? Again, Papa Ela, that he does completely random things, and we can really just kind of get this bouncing out of nowhere. I think we're going to hear more about the Cybertruck more than we would potentially hear about that cheaper Tesla, but I think I would love to hear that because, again, that's really going to change the game, because GM and Ford are really trying to undercut Tesla right now between the Model 3 and Model Y. So Tesla needs to try to get into that more budget conscious mindset person. Harry is saying Google's greater than Tesla, market down. I like Google, but Google is, they sometimes get distracted, honestly. They have so many things going on, and just it's literally called Alphabet. They have so many different divisions. I believe Tesla's is a little bit more focused, and their mindset of like, hey, we're doing these couple things. Yeah, they have Waymo, like you said. I understand that, but we really haven't seen too much come from that. Again, Google, there's again, I want them to pivot. I think they, with Google search and what they're trying to do and how not to let you track outside of certain websites and so forth, I love it. Exactly. Makeshift, you took the words right out of my mouth. Why doesn't Google and Tesla just partner up, or Google buy Tesla? I don't think they can even do that because, again, Tesla's market cap has got so large, and I don't think Google could really afford it. But yeah, Apple had the opportunity to buy Tesla, but they didn't. Yeah. Anyways, we saw that one out. So last one we're gonna do before we head and say night night to everyone is PLTR. PLTR. What are we doing about this one? PLTR, full disclosure, I own this one as well, but I've owned it since the starting out when it was like at around $9. With this one being said, very much Kathy Wood and Kathy, mom, has been buying this one quite a bit here. We are seeing some initial support around 2269 to basically the 2143 level. So between that range could be potential leveling off here. Again, with the overall market sell-off, we did see that really affect PLTR as well, but we are seeing the 5 and 8 moving averages starting to level off here and curl here. So this is something to be very interesting about, and seeing if we do get that switch here. And the same note, we are still seeing the parabolic SAR dots above the ticks. I want to see the tick start breaking above $26.50 to $27, so we can get those purple dots below the candlesticks, and really kind of see this potentially try to kick higher here from here. But PLTR, for me, is a long-term play. It's going to be a difficult one to for some people to hold, because, again, it is fairly volatile. Again, with Friday, we went down all the way to $20.19, and it was it bounced pretty hard off that. A lot of buying happened at that price here. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Hope you guys have a fantastic trading week. We'll try to live stream this week again. We have some earnings coming out, especially AMC on Wednesday, I believe, would be an interesting one to see. And I'll be working on a couple of videos, of course, talking about the DoorDash one and other couple aspects of maybe potentially trying to do a market review Monday through Friday at like a very short live stream or something like that. But on that note, thank you guys, thank you gals so much. Again, this is Ken from the Dyslexic Investor, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.